Miro's Magic Animals by Anthony Penrose. Can you find these animals inside the book? They have been drawn by children inspired by Miro. I marvel at a little bird that can fly. Joan Miro. My name is Tony. This is me wearing my finest horse cardigan. I grew up on Farley Farm in Sussex, England. My father was called Roland Penrose, and my mother, Lee Miller, was a famous photographer. Both my parents were surrealist artists. Surrealists make pictures of dreams. A very special friend of my parents also made art that was dreamlike, strange, and magical. That friend's name was Joan Miro. He came from Catalonia in Spain, where Joan is Spanish for John, but we just called him Miro. Miro's parents lived on a farm too. Miro painted it. Look at the picture opposite. Can you see the dogs? If you look closely, you can see mules in their stable, chickens in the chicken run, and even little creatures like a snail and a lizard. The painting reminded me of our farm at home, but in Miro's world, it was hot and sunny. In this picture of the garden, all the vegetables are in neat rows. It looks as if there are lettuces and tomatoes and lots of other good things to eat. I was always worried that the donkey might eat all the vegetables, but he seems very well behaved. The painting opposite has some strange shapes in it, but you can also see a horse with her foal and a farmer with his ox. In Sussex, we had a bright blue tractor with orange wheels, but having an ox that you could talk to would have been much more fun. Can you see the rabbit? I don't think the dog has noticed him yet. Miro also painted the farmer's wife. Look at how big her feet are. Miro believed that if you want to jump as high as the stars, you first have to plant your feet firmly on the ground. I felt sure this strong lady could jump all the way to the stars. I wondered if she would take the rabbit with her. I don't think the cat wants to jump anywhere. Maybe she likes being by the warm stove. Miro also painted a dog barking at the moon. He put a ladder in his picture. He liked ladders. Maybe he wanted to give the dog a chance to climb up to the moon. I wonder if my dad and I were hoping to reach the moon when we bravely climbed a ladder at Farley Farm. Miro moved from Spain to France, so he did not see his parents' farm very often. Instead, he painted things from his imagination. Look at the painting opposite called Harlequin's Carnival. Even though it shows a make-believe world, you can see that it is still full of little creatures, just like on the farm. Miro mostly painted happy pictures, but then war broke out. A lot of Miro's paintings showed he was very upset. He moved back to Spain with his wife Pilar and their little girl Dolores. To escape from all the sadness, he created his own world in his pictures. The painting opposite is called The Nightingale's Song at Midnight and the Morning Rain. I wonder if the dots are notes of the bird's song, or maybe they are raindrops. Miro came to England and he visited us at Farley Farm. The way he looked at things showed he was special. When he saw something that interested him, he watched it intensely, like a dog staring at a rabbit, except his eyes were always kind. He watched our cows coming in for milking. He watched the birds. He watched us. Can you see the flowers Miro drew in our visitor's book? Is that a bird among them? With his business suits and polished shoes, no one would ever guess that Miro was full of imagination and magic. When I see a tree, he once said, I get a shock, as though it were something that breathes, that talks. At the end of Miro's visit, we all went to London. Miro wanted to visit the zoo. Another of my dad's friends was Desmond Morris, a surrealist artist who happened to be the zoo's keeper of mammals. Desmond asked Miro which animals he would most like to see. Miro replied, "Large birds, snakes, and strange creatures of the night." Desmond took us into a special building where he presented Miro with a new friend. It was a giant hornbill. The bird was black, and with its big, strong beak and tufty crest, it looked something like Miro might have painted. He fed the bird some grapes, and it took them gently without nipping his fingers. Next, Desmond brought out a giant python. He draped it over Miro, who beamed with delight. We were all allowed to stroke the snake. It was cold, smooth, and dry. It was nice to touch, but I was glad it had been given an extra big lunch. Desmond had a pet chimpanzee at the zoo called Congo. Congo was an artist who painted very exciting pictures. My dad had even made an exhibition of Congo's work. He brought the painting shown opposite and hung it in our home. We also visited the night animal's house. Miro loved the chameleon, with its swivel eyes that could look in different directions at the same time. Then Desmond gave us a surprise. He held up some food quite a long way from the chameleon. Quick as lightning, it shot out its tongue, and with a soft clop, the food was gone. Desmond told us that the chameleon had a big, sticky bump on the end of its tongue to help it catch things. Desmond gave Miro a painting that Congo had made. In return, Miro made a lovely drawing. It was a picture of the chameleon. Can you see googly eyes and a long tongue with a sticky bump on the end? Miro went home to Spain, where he made lots of different types of art. Many of the works he created were unusual and mysterious. He was happy to be an artist unlike any other, to look with his magic eyes and see things no one else saw. Can you see any animal shapes in these sculptures?
Miro and Pilar decided to move to the island of Majorca.
Miro built a lovely studio, and my dad visited him there. The studio was full of Miro's artworks, his squiggles, circles, and triangles, his stars and moons and little dots. Important people now liked Miro's work, and his art appeared all over the world. The Spanish people were very proud of him. In his hometown of Barcelona, there is even a fabulous museum of his work. By now, Miro was old, but he never stopped working. He even designed the costumes for a play called Death to the Monster. The characters look like creatures that have escaped from Miro's paintings, don't they? Miro died one Christmas day at the ripe old age of 90. He is still famous today, but for me, he will always be the warm, quiet, and friendly man who loved strange animals and made wonderful worlds for us all to enjoy. I hope you like him too.